Rob Gronkowski recently announced his retirement from the NFL. Let's take a look at some of his top plays and why I think Gronk is the best tight end to have ever played in the NFL. What's going on, everybody? My name's Hussein the Brain, and this is my tribute to Rob Gronkowski. Not to take away from any other great tight ends. Look, I truly believe Gronk is the best tight end to have ever played, but I'm not trying to go back and forth whether you think Tony Gonzalez is the best to have ever played, because that's a great argument. He had a way longer career, Gonzalez that is. He was so consistent, so good, played so well on the Chiefs, so well on the Falcons, but Gronk is my favorite. Gronk is my favorite when it came to fantasy football, when it came to watching him in the NFL. And as a Niner fan, I really like Dwight Clark. You know, there are other great tight ends out there, Shannon Sharp, but Gronk is the best. I remember drafting him number 6 overall in fantasy football. It was 2015 in the Couch League draft. And this is the first time this has ever happened. A lot of people trash talk on the comments on YouTube. They say stuff like, your team gets an F-, your team's garbage, you're gonna finish last place. Sometimes they're right, but sometimes I prove them wrong. And this was the only time that multiple people came back to this video, the 2015 fantasy draft video, and apologized to me and said, sorry for making fun of you for drafting Gronk in the first round. Wow, he was such a beast. And that year, very first game, he scored 3 touchdowns against the Steelers. He established his dominance. We're not just talking about fantasy football in this video. Fantasy is based off stats. Gronk finished as a top 10 wide receiver that year, statistic-wise, fantasy point-wise, if he was a wide receiver, and finished as the best tight end. That's how dominant he was statistic-wise, but let's just not look at the stats or fantasy football. Let's look at the tape. The only knock you can really say about Gronkowski when comparing him to other tight ends, whether he's the greatest or whatnot, I believe he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Insta Hall of Famer is what I call it, no doubt about that. It's Gronk's injuries. Like, he's always banged up, always having major back surgeries, knee injuries. There was just so much going on, but that's because he was so dominant. How do you tackle a guy like this, a guy who's basically juggernaut out there? You have to go for his knees, basically try to injure him. I know that sounds bad, but you got to go for his knees or launch yourself and tackle him in his back area. Like, there's just no way you can stop this guy. 2 or 3 defenders would just launch themselves at him, hoping to get him down. Watching him play was just exciting. Like, you just can't tackle this guy. Defenders just bounce off of him or try to tackle him. There's so many plays where multiple defenders just fail to get this man down. He's big, he's strong, tough to take down, and also can reach high top speeds. This one's actually my second most favorite play. It's not my first most favorite play. It's the one-handed catch in 2014. And we see the timing with Brady and Gronk. We see the fast reaction. Like, all of Gronk's brothers, they're all super athletes. I heard a rumor that his dad would throw balls to all his sons and they just work on their eye-hand coordination. And we get to see this with this one-handed catch right here. The timing is there. The reaction is there. The hands are there. Gronk just put on a ton of highlights just like this one. But this wasn't his only one-handed catch. This is the one I like. He had another one against the Bills most recently, towards the end of the 2017 season. And even more impressive than his catching, of course, you know what I'm going to say, is his blocking. So this is my favorite Gronk play of all time. My favorite Gronk clip, period. And it's when he absolutely demolished the Colts. He was just blocking this guy and he said, oh, he was yapping, so I had to throw him out of the club. And I love it. It was a penalty flag. He wasn't supposed to do this, but it just goes to show how he imposes his will in the pass game and when it comes to blocking. You'd expect Bill Belichick to get mad when the Patriots do undisciplined things like that, but I think this is one that Bill would let slide because it was just, you know, the guy just kept talking trash and Gronk said no and took him out the game. He was just a beast at blocking, whether it was chipping a defensive end, lining up against a defensive lineman, an outside linebacker, an edge rusher, or run blocking. He was good at just about everything, which made him the complete package as a tight end.
I just blocked him, baby. I just blocked him one-on-one.
First ballot Hall of Famer. The story is there. The personality is there. The stats are there. The wins are there. The Super Bowl championships are there. And he retired on top, which is the best way to go. Agent Drew Rosenhaus said earlier that if Brady begged him to come back and said, hey, we really need you, and the Patriots were struggling, that he might come back, Rosenhaus wouldn't be surprised. Later, that statement seemed to be retracted. It didn't seem to really go that way. I think Gronk is completely finished when it comes to the NFL. When it comes to football, he truly is retired. He retired on top. No need to come back. So what does the future hold for Gronk? We're going to see him in a lot of things. Like, the dude is amazing when it comes to late night TV. He's amazing when it comes to wrestling. He can do some pro wrestling matches, maybe do some guest appearances and whatnot when it comes to wrestling. He's funny on game shows. We're going to see him maybe in some acting roles, some cameos, maybe even some movies. It's almost guaranteed that we'd see that. Like, we're pretty sold that's going to happen. Like, he's not just gonna go out of the limelight and we're never gonna see him. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, liking this video, subscribing to it, and it would be awesome. Just a dream, you know, when you dream, sometimes things happen. When we get 69,000 subscribers, it'll be awesome to have Gronk on this YouTube channel. So make that happen. Leave a comment, let me know who you think your best tight end is, and go tag Gronk, tell him to hop on this show when we hit 69K. It will happen. Let's believe. Gronk Spike.